day. Long, hot day. Um, it seems like I may have been going through these things kind of fast. I could probably slow down and, trickle it out. Try to see if I can't, steer people along with my clickbait. But, the stories, they seem, they're like chapters and chapters and all, but they keep saying the same things. And, well, not really, but I don't know. I never hear any feedback. There's this chance that what happens when someone has gone up, like the Tower of Babel, the story of the Tower of Babel, where, God does this trick on these people that are trying to build a building up to meet him. And I haven't really gone over it with a fine-tooth comb. But what happens is this is this idea of almost like a Pentecost, that whenever they tried to get up there, or when they reached this particular spot, people were changed. They would wind up talking, babbling, like no one could understand. They said, is this the guy that was from Galilee, and here he is speaking like a such and such, and over here this guy is doing this, and he's speaking like that. So they mix up the language so people can't understand what they're saying. And a lot of that has to do with what I'm saying. Whenever I come about trying to explain with the inside structure of the Bible, I get this, where do you get that from? Well, you don't see that, And, and I say, well, it really is. It's what I'm finding within the writing of the scriptures. And so it makes more sense to me now. This is all it is. And, and I had a whole nother take on this particular, until I read it really read it for the first time as scrutiny, to try to, because I'm going to find out what this is. I want to know what that word meant. I want to know what that phrase was. And now it's a lot clearer. And I would like to know, is it coming across that way? Can you understand that there's there's science out there. It's not pseudoscience, but there is science out there about meditation that that the world around us is a beta conscious. I'm not making that up, but that would be considered Earth. That when you slip over into the water zone, this is alpha. This is water, the second phase of consciousness. And what happens is when you shut off the flesh and there's no more taxing of the body, and you're doing it physically, that your mind naturally starts to drift to a higher place. And that's all this is talking about. It's trying to free yourself so that you can be administered a particular kind of help. Look at this time of night. I can't turn this thing on without an airplane coming over. But and I found out it was just because this time of year that most of the year they changed the runway, or however their approach is, and now they come right over top of me all the time. And so but I was hoping that you could notice that the way that this Bible has been put together is that in the beginning, it was the creation of man. It wasn't the creation of mankind. It wasn't the creation of the earth. And that, and this put forth a consciousness and the idea of decision making, whereas, here do we have this with the tree of good and evil. I made a decision. It may not have been the best of decision. Everyone thinks that they're trained that the Kundalini or that the snake in the story is the bad guy. I'd like to tell you that the person that was the bad guy in that story, if there was such a bad thing, would have been Father, the God, who made them. He's the one who told them that they would surely die. But then it was the serpent that told them they surely would not. So that's why I told you that he's not the bad guy. All these bad guys in the book are the good guys. And it's just that, if you read the top, it's really terrible. Just, it's a shame that they've got us stuck on this. We're actually living a myth. The whole world is living their myth, reading their Bibles wrong. And so, for those few people that would like to walk this path, this is what was hidden. And the story of Cain and Abel is this idea that, this is the beginning of killing your flesh, killing something off, making that your sacrifice, and it begins as brother. And of course, the brother is a side of you. A sister is also a side of you. That's your emotions, and your mother and your father. This is the bosses up here. But if you never have bosses up here, then you just have a wife. You're just husband and wife. And so it's a lower situation, just waiting to be raised into a better place. But if no one ever finds this way and this mechanism of raising themselves, they'll never get there. And so this would be the idea that, in one of the stories, in the future stories, would be that, well, let's just give them stubble and brick. And this will be their religion, which gets you nowhere. What you're looking for is straw and stone. So, these are conversations that work with what's called dark sayings, and that God speaks to us in dark sayings. And of course, dark sayings means that it was hidden. What is it? You have to find it, and that parables and allegories are skins or coverings over the truth, and they tell you not to take things by the letter, for the letter kills. That you are to minister by the Spirit. The Spirit saves, and I have. Through many of the stories that I have talked about already, it shows that if you believe in the outside scripture, then you're going to hate someone. You're thinking about sex, you're thinking about, fleshy things, physical things that are tangible, and everyone comes alive on the top of the book, and later on, to tell you the truth, all these people that come alive, they're bigger than us. You've made them into, these are the monsters, and we turn around and let them destroy us, because it's a fun little play on this. But this is going to be done again here soon, not very far from now, because the Enoch story is also mentioned in here. That's why they've taken it wasn't brought into the book. Enoch is mentioned here. And that's about it. But it's him that tells this wonderful story. And now we know why, because he's the family. In the long run, we say he's the family, that after Cain. And, of course, we go around and killing Cain, and that is you. You're Cain. Cain is Jesus in these stories. He's the one that you have to kill. He's the one that he's got your sacrifice, and he sacrificed his brother, He already had his, his thing. That was, so he could... rule in his world. But these cherubims that they put in this one particular place, these cherubims, these are the winged cherubims. This is the mercy seat. This is where God grants his mercy. This is that sixth chakra when you see, where most of the places see God face to face, and stretches out his arm and he smites things, or, at least particular right now, the world is still sweet. He hasn't had to deal with anything except for this killing. Oh, and of course, his spirit giving away the truth, telling the truth on him, when he would rather maybe you'd be better off not knowing. No, it's the woman that's going to talk you into taking this bite, because it's the spirit. She's trying to get the soul to come up and visit her and say hi and join us all together. Israel is what's going to be the joining words here. But right now it's this idea. This is the the paradise. The land of milk and honey. Galactose. Things about the mind. This is oozy and juicy things. This is where manna from heaven, bread, thoughts, things come in. In the oceans before, fish are truths, things that you find when you go into the water. Toss your nets to the right side of the boat. and go into that sea and then pull up 153 fish. All right, that's a 9 with the right hand reference. So all of these things are definitely pointing to the right hand side of things. I had some woman tell me, said, "Oh, you got to start off with 0. God is the number 0." See, that's right. That's wrong. God is not the 0. There's an infinity that has a beginning and an end. That does not mean infinity. Understand? So it's not a 0. 1 is how it works out. The number system and finding out and working out this system does not start off with 0. It starts off with 1, the maker; 2, what he made; 3, these things made together. If you put a 0, then you've lost again. You're all screwed up. So please, if you're working with this, I'm past the point of taking information, unless there's like this big hole somewhere. But this puzzle here is slowly coming to life before our eyes with each little each little conversation about it. It proves that I can't make this up. I can't fit my beliefs in there, that I have to read what you're seeing here, and then I take what I've seen here and make it into something better. All right, but that cherubim later on is going to be the mercy seat. You know what that is? That's your tabernacle. Remember, we're going to be, we're about to learn all of this. But the idea that, what is that place? The God's tabernacle. It's with man. It's with man. All right, that means it's with you. All right, that means that's that tabernacle. That's why that particular land was gold, had gold, and it had that stone with the little stripe that goes through it. Look at how fun I look. Oh, I don't give a damn. It's so hot and sweaty. I wanted to see if this was just, this is showing you just how simple it is. That all of these people are within themselves, and of course we wind up with that he drove man out of the garden. He didn't say man and wife, he just had man, because she comes with them. She's cleaved with them, cleaved to them. They're together, and they have gone into the lower part. The lower part, that's because, they have given up their mother and father to become husband and wife, and that's just a little lower, but it still has a high quality to it. Okay, and there's we're still missing the fire part, where it comes to where when we meet God face to face and we're restored, it's where he battles our enemies and he takes away those things that come against us. And so you would find that that's really about your thinking methods, religious thinkings, and something that your mom said, like someone like this gal tell me that God represents 0. That's gone. That's the kingdom's gone, But look, this is the first thing that when Cain, his son, he bears Enoch, and Enoch builds a city. All right, so this is the city. These are things and kingdoms that get destroyed. All right, and it's always the male, and they're married to the female, showing their lineage, and it shows that the family tree of him winds up being that 6 chakras, and later on it's the 7 churches. So what's the 6 chakras? It's the 7 chakras, and later on it's the 7 churches. So a lot of times 6 is all by itself, and then into the 7 is where you would go. And many times it's just the Sabbath, keep the Sabbath holy. But very little, you always, if the 7 is there, a 6 is there, a 5 is there, a 4 is there, a 3 and a 2, and a 1. And the 0 is after things like, he was 130 years old when he died. All right, so that's 3 plus 1 is 4. You don't count the zeros, but the zeros mean eternity, because it's a good thing. Was the fourfold nature of man. 4 is a good number to die on. 3 is a good number to die on. All of these numbers are good to die on. But basically, you'll get a 12, 112, or 100. 12, 120. Things like that, things that will wind up being 3. So, this is what I'm teaching, and I'm hoping that I don't sound babbling off, when it comes down to it, it's just showing you that the way they write to you is hieroglyphics. If you were to look at a real hieroglyphic, a little drawing, a little something another about so big, it has lots of conversation in it. It has a whole lot, and you have to pick it all apart. But it's there. In the same way with this, and it sounds like you really putting a whole lot. You're going over the board. You're really trying to push this. I'm not. What happens with me is when I start on this, it's almost as if fatigue starts to roll over me, and how long is this? And then I would look ahead and I say, oh my God, this one's got 40 verses in it. I would like to be able to cut it off. I would love that it was smaller. I would love to be able to just blah 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 through there and just make it up, but I can't. I'll put the time through. It reminds me of being when I used to do this pointillism, little art with pens, and when I started out making little dots down here, I knew that for the next 3 or 4 days, I'm going to be doing the same dots, and I had to put the same dots that I started out here with, I have to wind up with the same one. So you have to be consistent through the whole thing. So I've learned this patience. I've learned this, I've learned how to not be so anxious. And because, if there are people that are out there having any kind of following whatsoever, I want you to know that this just makes a lot more sense. And I want to get it documented. Someone can steal it, someone could use it, someone could take it doesn't matter. The idea is that it's out there, and it's another tool for someone else to have learned something. Another way of filling in spots that are missing in other people's puzzle. We're all out there asking questions, asking for answers, and I can come up with a whole mess of them, with these things. And it's been really neat to do that. It does set you free. It makes you free, and then you just think about your friends that are captives, and then you think about your friends that don't want to have anything to do with it, and they don't want to talk to you about it. I don't give a damn. And the Christians, I don't want to, It's those youngins, those people that that never heard this, and they're the ones who need some truth in them. They're the ones that, well, my dad told me to do this, and and my mom asked me to do that, and and my great uncle does this, and then my best friend, his mom is a preacher, and la da da, and I really love her. They feed me good food and stuff, That's the stuff when you go up inside there. The wrath of God. Take all that shit right out, And people don't want to lose that, But anyways, I thought I would just give you a quick little checkup, and and just, are you understanding this? Do I have to come up with something even simpler? Because I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste. Yeah, I'd rather not waste your time, because I don't give a damn about mine. Obvious, But give me a holler or something if this is not making sense, or if I'm supposed to slow it down, or you want me to speed it up, And you guys can always speed this thing up, and I go, but it sounds so much better, so much better, But those that are out there listening, those that care, those that put down a little bit of time to listen to this crap, and put some of my knowledge in their head, and fill with their own stuff, to see how well it correlates, you're more than welcome. And you can share and steal and be mad and angry. You can do whatever you want, I just, right now, I just want to make sure that whoever is out there listening, that it's going well, Maybe I need a chalkboard. I don't know, but you tell me. I'm a teacher, but I never take myself out of that spot of being a student, So, anyways, I just want to say that I love you guys, and Happy New Year's, and I said that earlier. It has to do with 4th of July. I do it all the time. Merry Christmas. Merry frickin' Christmas. Around the holidays. All right, but anyways, this is the God's honest truth, as I've seen it, and I hope that I am helping you to see it as well. All right. breakfast to you. Good night.